Welcome, I'm Jon Caldara, president of the Independence Institute and your devil's advocate. A little later about intellectual diversity, but not in Boulder, no. But first, you know him, you love him, you read him in the Gazette. Wayne Laugesen, thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me.
All right, so usually I ask you to come on so that we could talk about the goings-on here, now, Colorado. No. You did a piece for the Washington Examiner that is just dead on. And it's about Saul Alinsky. And I'm amazed how many people just don't know who Saul Alinsky is. And so you can read this free online at the Gazette as well.
Sure.
I believe,
but you should buy a subscription
buy
to
a subscription,
this magazine.
of course, because it has you in it.
This is a great national magazine, and it's worth subscribing to it. It's reinventing magazine journalism, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I look for a centerfold. Nothing.
Hey, Hillary's in there. Yeah, find the Hillary picture.
Yeah, this fold out of Rupert Murdoch just doesn't do it for me the way you thought. All right, first of all, we hear about Saul Alinsky, we hear about rules for radicals. Mm-hmm. This has been a playbook for the progressive left for the last 40, nearly 50 years, and it is amazing. And I'm still amazed how few people, particularly on the libertarian or limited government side, even understand how powerful this is. Who was Saul Alinsky?
Well, Saul Alinsky was a community organizer back in the 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. He died in 1972.
Give me a definition. What community organizer? What does that mean?
He was a left. He worked with unions. He worked with the Catholic Church. He worked with neighborhood organizations. And what he taught them to do was not win through the processes that we know and love in this country, where we try to pass laws, we try to win hearts and minds, we try to convince people that this idea is better than that idea. He had no interest in that. This was about winning, and winning at all costs, and the ends justify the means, regardless of whatever those ends happen to be. Now, for him, he was an avowed leftist. He was a Marxist, and so a lot of his followers are Marxists as well, leftists. And so he would work with unions. He worked with all sorts of unions, and he worked with the mob. In fact, he worked with Al Capone's mob and made no apologies for it.
But what really gets me about Saul Alinsky is his ability to think ahead. That, so often politics is who's going to win the next election.
Right.
And for him it was about, wait a second, if we can own the levers of power, if we can get inside the machinery of government, machinery of elections, we can win. And for him, and I've heard Ted Trimpa say this on this very program, problem with the Republicans, they want to be right. They don't want to win.
Right.
Translation, we will do what it takes to win. Saul Alinsky said it takes time, it takes money, and he taught the hippies, shave the beard, cut your hair, put on a suit, and get inside the machinery of the establishment, and we can destroy
Sounds
it.
a lot like Ward Churchill teaching a class at the University of Colorado, doesn't it?
It does.
He had the same advice. He says, you don't want to look like me, an Indian, as he was claiming to be at the time, with long hair and sunglasses. You want to walk in to downtown Seattle, I think he said, well-groomed, wearing a suit and a tie, carrying a briefcase, and then blow the place up.
Yeah.
So,
keep the bomb in the briefcase.
Yeah.
So, Rules for Radicals was his masterpiece, Saul Alinsky's masterpiece.
Right.
What exactly was that?
It was the playbook, and it's a very short, simple read of how to win at any cost. And it didn't talk a lot about winning elections or winning through the process. It was really go after people, go after your enemies, go after anyone who's.
It was the politics of personal destruction.
Politics of personal destruction. So pick the target, freeze it, isolate it, and somehow damage it. Well, okay. So we see that you can see this on stage today. You have Maxine Waters saying to her followers, she's talking through a megaphone saying, if you see one of these people, and she's talking about somebody who works for the Trump administration, in a restaurant or in a public space of any time, you get in their face, you surround them, you tell them they're not welcome here. And they followed her advice.
Throw away every principle that good liberals, the liberals who would say the ends don't justify the means. I disagree with what you say, but I defend to my death your right to say.
Right. These are
Throw
not
that
liberals.
out there. These are not liberals. These are
These are
progressives.
leftists.
And by the way, the same rules could apply
I like
for the right.
liberals. I am
a liberal.
I think I would call myself easily a classical liberal, but I'm a contemporary conservative, but I like liberals. There are a lot of great liberals out there, and they work with conservatives. They play nicely. We play nicely together. These are leftists. These are militant, fists in the air leftists, and the universities are churning them out like widgets.
All right, let's go over a few of his rules. He had 12, actually 13, but let's go for 13, which was pick a target, freeze it, and basically destroy it.
Right.
And that you see the triangulation, particularly on personalities, of somebody does one thing and it's the end of their career. And the idea of a hate crime is that if I burn a cross on somebody's house, it's not just a crime to that person that I'm trying to scare in the house, but it's a crime because I'm intimidating everybody like that person,
right.
Everybody who shares the religious belief or the skin color of that person. So I'm hurting a whole group. When the left looks at one politician and destroys him, yeah, it destroys that person, but it also sends a message to everybody else.
Look what they did to the liberal Tom Brokaw the other day for suggesting that it's probably good for an immigrant in this country to assimilate. Now that is a value that the right and the left have shared for generations. That coming here and learning the language and learning the way things are done here helps you advance in this society. He got blown up for that by the left. They
Twitter
personally tried to destroy him to the point that he apologized for saying something perfectly reasonable.
Well, and the Twitterverse is made for this. In Colorado, there are people who are paid to be trolls,
right,
and to attack people and drive them nuts. They're ankle biters, and I've got a lot of them biting my ankle, and I love it because I'm not running for office. What do I care?
What do you have to lose?
What do I care? I can't get a date anyway. Why? What do I care? So the destruction is huge. There was another rule that basically said, hold them to their own standards. I'm paraphrasing. Mm-hmm. If a politician says, you know what, I answer every letter that's written to me.
Yeah.
Well, a good political warrior goes, I'm activating everybody we have to send him nasty letters, so all he does all day is write letters back and hold him to his own standards.
And wait until he trips up and doesn't, and misses one.
And misses one.
And then you're going to destroy him over that. And so it's very much the politics of personal destruction. You see it in the news all the time. And I think the people who are doing this today, especially a lot of the young people, they don't even know about Saul Alinsky. They don't know, they haven't read this book. I like to say it's in the water. The NEA has embraced this, okay? The NEA has advocated teaching this in schools. Catholic universities are teaching this at the behest of left-leaning professors who think it's wonderful. I talked to a lot of people in academia for this article, and it's amazing how approving they are of this and how they think that it's actual. They think this is academic. They think this is intellectual stuff.
They think it's intellectually honest, and they also see it as now part of the proper process of the battle of ideas.
Right.
Going back to classic liberalism, Milt Friedman despised that the left got the name liberal because he's a liberal.
He's
you and
a
I
liberal.
are liberal.
Right.
We are classic liberals.
Yeah.
And we're classic liberals because we like the old Star Trek with Kirk and Spock rather than any of the new crap. So the idea now is that is appropriate fodder for the give and take in the political system. This personality of destruction, the anger, the whole ugliness of it. And they wonder where Trump came from.
Right.
This is the best part of it all, is they wonder who created Trump. Saul Alinsky created Trump.
The highest ranking, most successful Alinskyite that you could find on the right, if you want to call Donald Trump on the right, would be Donald Trump. And that is why the left despises him to the degree that they do, because he's playing somewhat, at least, by these rules. Win, and win at any cost, and just win. It's not the old style that what you would think that the academic community would embrace is exchange of ideas and winning on ideas by by defending them.
I run a think tank.
Right.
We want to put out good
about ideas,
ideas.
right.
Good ideas don't count. Destroying people. All right, let's go through a few of these.
You should become an action tank, and you could put together all sorts of little operations.
Operations.
To destroy your opponents.
I'll do that. All right. Let's go backwards a little bit. The price of a successful attack is a constructive alternative. What does that mean?
I'm not really sure what that means, but
Right. The idea is we're attacking, and we're going to have, and if only we if only we socialize this, then we've got it. The one I love.
that's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I love this one. A good tactic is one your people enjoy.
Right.
Now, if you want to talk about something the Independence Institute does well,
Well-
no one has more fun fighting for freedom than we do, but it's true. The revolution is unsustainable if it's hard work.
You know, he did make it fun, and one of his first big stunts was called I won't say the word, but it rhymes with sit-in the restrooms at Chicago's O'Hare Airport, and that was to clog up the restrooms and make people uncomfortable, and to get their attention by making people get off a plane and they can't use the restrooms. And they were protesting the development of O'Hare and the surrounding neighborhoods, which Alinsky thought was racist development. It was running black people out of that area. So and it
clog the
wasn't open
toilets.
to. And I'm not disputing his point, but that was the tactic they used. And the people who did it enjoyed it. That was a fun form of protest for the people who went along with it.
This is one that every late night talk show host understands, that Comedy Central has down. It is inculcated. Ridicule is a man's most potent weapon,
Right.
which feeds into the whole politics of personal destruction. We ridicule them.
Nobody wants to be embarrassed. It's a small portion of the population, and I think I could include you in that
Yeah,
small portion of the population who really don't
We
give
get
a
off
darn.
on that, yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of people, the minute they get ridiculed, they're freaking out. This is embarrassing, and they're humiliated, and they will do anything to get out from under it. They will change their behavior, and they will apologize. We see it all the time.
Especially when you pick on the school board member, the guy who's just trying to do good, and all of a sudden he's lampooned.
Right.
It's difficult. Never go outside the expertise of your people. Power is not only what you have, but what the enemy thinks you have. That's just good Sun
Yes.
Tzu right there.
Right, that's right. That's art of war stuff all the way.
It really is.
And it works.
A tactic that drags on too long becomes a drag. Keep the pressure on. The threat is usually...
So wear down.
Wear
Wear
down.
yeah.
Wear them down.
Yeah.
The threat is usually more terrifying than the thing itself. Boy, ain't that the truth.
Right.
And the major premise for tactics is the development of operations that will maintain a constant pressure upon the opposition. It's about building capacities that do nothing but push. They're not trying to get victory. They build a capacity. That's what the left has done in Colorado with its myriad of organizations and groups that are there to just constantly bark until you think that's actually reality.
Right. Yeah, we've seen it since the what do they call it, the Colorado Master Plan, where billionaires and centimillionaires put their money together and really made a lot of progress quickly. I'm not saying they did it entirely on these Alinsky sort of art of war tactics, but they used some of them. So
Left, right, middle, this is an article worth reading. Wayne Laugesen, thank you so much. You can get it at, what is this awful thing? Washington Examiner.
Washington,
terrific
great new magazine.
Check it out.
Get it.
Wayne, thank you. Stay tuned.